All right, let's get our Facebook folks up in here before it's officially time to go. Hopefully my internet will stay going here. Carl, you have to let me know. My internet, I'm on like a Wi-Fi hotspot thing right now from Xfinity in Seattle. So hopefully it'll hold up. But welcome in, folks. Welcome in. It is July 12th, Tuesday night, which means it's time for an episode of What's the Hat Say? Building the Broncos. I am Nick Kendell and joined by, as always, Carl Dumler. Carl, how you doing? Happy Tuesday.
I'm good. I'm melting out here a little bit. We got out of our restaurant on Sunday, and my wife goes, "Oh, look, it's 109," for like thinking it was the time. Nope, that was the temperature outside.
Oh my God.
So a little bit melting out here, but otherwise really doing well.
It's like a hot 82 here in Seattle, which is pretty hot for this time of year. I mean, people don't have air conditioning, but it's pretty hot upstairs in our new house. But yeah, Carl, welcome to the new studio here. I got some, I don't know if you can see, I have some Cardinals hats in the background too, some Iowa Hawkeye stuff, since you are a, by no choice of your own, Iowa Hawkeye fan now. But welcome in, everyone. We're going to get into one of my favorite shows that we do every offseason, where Carl and I kind of go through the AFC West and craft our own each individual AFC West team. But before we get into that, let's say hello to some people in here. Dylan Von Arks, of course, saying sup Broncos country. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in and subscribe if you haven't already. Diamond Rattler's in the house too, saying boom, let's ride. We got Shades in here saying evening Broncos country, saying I bet we'll have a few on the list. Yeah, just tune in, wait and find out. We'll see some on there. Dale's in the house too, saying evening Carl, Nick, Scott, Dylan, Diamond, Shades, and all of Broncos country, everyone. Also, evening to Paul. Good to see you, Paul. Paul, say a few names as well. We'll get into it for sure. We got Dale saying these MH8 shows and people that participate help me more than anyone would guess. Well, Dale, we're always here as well. If you want to reach out, we're busy, so we might not respond right away. A lot of things going on, but we are here. So if you need us, reach out, of course. We got some more folks coming in here. Mike S is in here saying, hey, Dale, where's our hello, Mike? What's going on here? Here it is. What's up, Broncos country? Good to see you. We also got, of course, Jeff Noyes in the house saying hello, Nick, Carl, Dylan, and all at Broncos country. Good to see you, Jeff. Bronco gang in the house saying Denver Broncos for life. Good to see you, Bronco gang. And answering today's question. 6 makes the All West team. So how many players in the Broncos? You guys let us know in the comments. We'll tally up afterwards. I actually did not tally up how many Broncos players I have on our team, but it's a good amount, actually. I think more than last year.
Oh, it's definitely more than last year for me. And I went back and like, oh man, this feels a little homeristic. Maybe I should change some of these, but I'm like, nope, stick to your convictions. If you believe this is actually the best player, go with it.
And some of them I will be like, like Ty goes to familiarity or just guys that I'm more familiar with. And we'll be wrong about plenty of these guys, but still kind of fun to go over the AFC West. I don't know if Ernie Mays is in here. He's going to be irritated at us talking about why don't talk about any team but the Broncos. It's important to talk about your rivals as well because you want to know your enemy. We used to do a whole show when we were recording multiple Building the Broncos a week where we would go through. It was the scouting the enemy, and we would really just dig into the enemies. So good times. A lot more work on those ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if we said hello to Greg Smith. Good evening to you, Greg. Jetty Splash is in here too with the smiley face. Hope you're doing well. John Williams also coming in. Someone posted Josh McDaniel's 2 daughters in a wrong matter. Did you hear about that? I did not, but those are 2 people. So it's unfortunate that that happened, and I will not be looking it up. But that's gross.
Yep. I was going to say, leave families out of it.
Yep.
These players, they've signed up for it. Families have not.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Gray, I think Love, Carl, and Nick showed shows. Going to be a great show. Let's ride. I think that's what it says. I think he said, I think that's you, Carl. That's how I'm going to start calling you now. We're going to change your name to that in our group chat there.
I like it.
Travis Weber in the house too. Good evening, Nick and Carl and Scott and Broncos country. Good to see you. Roy Osborne, of course, coming in saying good evening, Nick and Carl and Scott. Gary Leeds Palmer, always with the support coming in here saying good afternoon, Broncos country. Awesome to see you here. And let's start getting into it here, Carl. How do you want to dive this apart? I guess first thing I should say, I have it on my phone here. The format of our show is that our teams are a little bit more, I think we have a little bit more offensive players than we do defense because we listed 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, the whole offensive line, and 1 quarterback.
Right.
But do you want to go defense first? Do you want to go offense first? Do you want to start with the quarterback? Do you want to start with the secondary? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, let's start defense.
Okay.
And save the offense because, obviously everybody's excited about where the Broncos offense is going. But so I think we might have a few surprise players in there. I think that's where maybe we'll have more disagreements even. is on the offensive side.
Okay, so I'm gonna be working in the background here at the same time, kind of working on our list here of each of our teams. But I'll let you start. Who's your first player? Position and team and name, of course.
All right. Well, let's start with edge because that's first on our list. We go edge, 3 interior defensive linemen, then another edge player. We're
Speaking
kind
of edge, real quick though, guys. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you need something with an edge to get after your, downstairs? You definitely do if you haven't tried the best products from our sponsor today, Manscaped. Talking about an edge there. Taking control of your downstairs is important. These products are so good. They're going to be showing pride in your new, I guess, bush-free yard. It's a fact that you will have to be the best kept area in the cul-de-sac. Save big and be the most hygienic version of yourself by using our discount code MHH for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Of course, I always like to talk about I am in backpacking season again here, and I did bring my handy dandy crop mops on a 3-day adventure. I had solo tented that, so had the tent to myself. Could have been stinky, but it doesn't feel good to be dirty, even in the backcountry. So I brought my crop mop with. Love those. Always, you have the lawnmower 4.0 with the electric trimmer. It's, downstairs area. They right here, it's the downstairs worst nightmare, but I think it's the best area. It's a dream because it's going to be down there and you're going to reduce any sort of grooming accidents or shaving loose hair on skin down there. So definitely want to be looking out for that because the ceramic blade and the advanced skin safe technology. Also, guys, again, 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com if you use the code MHH. It's time to level up from your downstairs Amazon to the Amagdon? I don't even know what that is. With the ultimate bushwhacking tools from Manscaped. Well, clean it up, boys. Manscaped.com. Use promo code MHH for 20% off. And Nick, you're a slide dog for that ad. I just all of a sudden was like, oh, we got to get that in here early. So there's your edge for you. Travis Weber coming in to support. Thank you so much, Travis. We also got this Bronco gang saying patiently waiting upon this electrical season. Going to be a good season. Phil McLaughlin, always a big starter here for us as well. Saying good evening, Nick and Carl and Scott. Awesome to see you here. And Lawrence Rivera, fantastic, coming up here saying, what's up, guys? Just got home and tried to run to the shower, but little one has seen me and is now crying his head off. Gotta love being a dad. I mean, I don't know about the kid there, but I have big windows in my front now, and the dog hears my car come up and just goes ballistic. I had a little bit of garbage in my car, and if I didn't go to the door first to greet him, he would have scratched at the window in the door of the new rental. So had to go in first. So I get it. You can't be sneaky. They know it's coming. And Super Phil, yeah, absolutely. Phil McLaughlin, big time stars. Phil, you're a real one here. Good evening, Nick and Carl and Scott. Hashtag Let's Ride. We love you, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us here. And now that I'm done talking about Manscaped and everything here, Carl, back to Edge. Your first player here.
Okay, I think this is one you and I are probably going to both agree on. Joey Bosa, Edge for the Chargers. I mean, he's been one of the most consistent guys year in, year out. One of the best hand fighters, strong as an ox, great against the run, really good against the pass. I think just one of the best all-around edge rushers in football. Do you have him on your list?
I do have Joey Bosa. I think he's the best edge defender in the division, still very much in his prime. Again, you mentioned it. His hand technique is amazing. He's super strong. He's both a multiple tool player. One weird thing about Joey Bosa always makes me laugh is that for how good he is as a pass rusher, I think he's notched 0 pass defenses in his career, which is insane. Buddy, you put your hands up. Maybe it's in Taco Shelby Harris or something. But yeah, Joey Bosa, definitely, I think the best edge defender in the division and somebody that we both are going to agree on here. So yes, Joey Bosa for sure. The Los Angeles Chargers, unfortunately, have a good bit of players that we are not rooting for. I'm not rooting against per se. A lot human beings and playing football here for the most part, unless they choke slam their child or some stuff, Tyreek Hill's kind of things. But other than that, I'm not pulling for them either. So Joey Bosa listed here with the edge, and we all got Gary Leeds Palmer coming back in here, saying, "Hey Nick, Carl, and Scott, looking forward to your breakdown. Go Broncos and let's ride." Thank you so much, Gary. We appreciate you. 500 stars, 500 big old stars here. Maybe that's enough for the 500 stars on the James Webb Telescope. Have you seen those images, Carl? Man, God, what a time to be alive.
I showed my kids today, and they were going, "Oh, that is so cool. We should print that off and put it in our house."
Yeah,
I mean, it's really not a bad idea.
No, let's do it. I mean, I saw a funny tweet today. It's like they showed the picture, and it's like, man, the people who made the bowling alley carpets in the 80s knew what they were doing. This is exactly what it looks like. So thank you so much for the stars, Gary. We appreciate you. Great stars here. Carl, I'm going to kick it off to you again. Do you want to go interior defensive line, or do you want to knock off both edge rushers?
Let's just go ahead and knock the edges off here.
Okay.
I'm going to go, as Dale Fleming says, Crosby, Max Crosby of the Raiders. I love this guy. I think he's one of the more underrated pass rushers, not talked about as much as he should be for what he brings to the table. You know, the Raiders, as much as they messed up that first round pick in that draft.
Farrell.
Yeah. Getting Max Crosby later completely made up for it because he has been a first round talent in the NFL. And I think that pairing of Joey Bosa, Max Crosby, I think you're looking pretty darn good. You know, this is a tough group pick from because you got Khalil Mack. You got Jones as well coming in here now to the AFC West. But like I said, I just love Max Crosby. I think he's been very, very consistent year in, year out, bringing top 15 pass rush ability in the NFL.
I also have Max Crosby written down here. I was thinking maybe you'd go with Chandler Jones. Maybe you'd go with Bradley Chubb. But no, Max Crosby, I think, is the guy who deserves the shout out here. He did put up a lot of his stats, you know, in small, I guess a small amount of games, but that's how pass rushers work, right?
Yeah.
They get hot. It's kind of like being a hitter in baseball. You know, you get hot and then on a streak and then you have lulls and whatnot. So
right.
Crosby definitely up there.
Didn't Chandler Jones have like 5 sacks in one game and then finish the season with 10 sacks?
Yep.
So like I said, it just kind of comes, you get that perfect matchup where they didn't game plan well to stop you. You got a great plan going into it. You know, I think of, was it the Raiders against the Broncos in 2015? Schofield,
yep,
where he got it by Khalil Mack, made his entire season in that one game, pretty much.
I remember there was like Adrian Claiborne had like Scott. I'll remember this one had like 7 sacks against the Cowboys against Chaz Green at left tackle when like Tyron Smith was out. So sometimes it's like that. But you're right. It was tough to pick against this one. Max Crosby definitely there. Chandler Jones deserves a shout out. Other than that, though, I mean, I would be here. Put a percentage. How shocked would you be if, like, end of the year, you know, we're doing these awards for players of the year in the division, one of these Broncos players ending up on this all AFC West team?
Not at all. I mean, it's Bradley Chubb. He has shown that huge potential to be a great edge player. I mean, that 10.5 sacks or whatever he had his rookie season, I think he can do better than that. And I think he can become that true all-around guy. I mean, there's a reason he was a top 5 pick, and everybody was shocked that Cleveland passed on him. They're at pick number 4. You know, and on top of that, then you got Randy Gregory on the other side, who, when healthy, he has been a force. I mean, that guy can get in the backfield in a hurry. He can disrupt plays like crazy. And I think he could easily become talk of the town. You know, when all these other big edge rushers got these big contracts, I understand it. They've been more consistent, more on the field than Randy Gregory. But I think on a play-by-play basis, Randy Gregory's been right up there other than getting sacks. It's the one thing that he's not been great at is actually finishing plays. But beyond that, getting pressure, he's right there with them.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do this year. Obviously, the pass rushing group that he's going to have around him will not be as good in Denver as it was in Dallas because, you know, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons last season. But still, going to be a very good group here in Denver. I think either of these guys have a chance, but I really think Broncos country, I think Bradley Chubb's in for a big year, and for good reason for him as well, because he's playing for that money. No doubt about it. Talk about speaking for the money. I'm going to roll right in here. 3 interior defensive linemen for the Broncos, and I'm going to go with my guy. I think it was, Ryan Edwards over at 706. I believe blanking right now. But Ryan Edwards does good work over there covering the Broncos. And he said most underrated Broncos. They didn't even list Draymond Jones as one of the players. And I think Draymond Jones is an absolute stud. Arguably one of the top 10 interior defensive linemen in football. And I think he's in for a big season. Absolutely. I'm listening to Draymond Jones as one of the all AFC West players on my team. So interior defensive line, Draymond Jones, big year. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, I've got him. So I don't know if I kind of did this on purpose a little bit. I did the Jones boys
on the
interior. Are we going to be the same?
We're the exact same so far.
I thought about Sebastian Day.
Me too. Yep.
I wanted to put him in there, but I think when I'm looking at having Chris Jones and Draymond Jones, 2 great pass rushers, I'm like, I want that great run defender as well in there. And DJ Jones, one of the best run defenders in football last season. I know he had more talent around him when you're looking at like maybe more talent. We'll see what the Broncos.
If you factor in the linebackers, I think you have to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's a great player that's deserving of the contract that he got, and he's going to be a great run stuffer for the Broncos and brings a little bit to the pass rush department. And so I can't believe we're agreeing on all of these here. We did not talk about these beforehand. I promise you.
This is the exact same thing we did last year too. And I'm thinking, man, maybe I should put Sebastian Joseph Day, but I told you, I kind of hinted at it earlier. If there's a tie, I'm going to lean into the Broncos just because I'd rather talk about them for this list anyway. I also think that we do want to give a shout out to, even though he is on the downside of his career, Jonathan Hankins, still a pretty good nose tackle for the Las Vegas Raiders. Somebody should watch out for there, but definitely Sebastian Joseph Day. And you can follow the money as well. Sebastian Joseph Day got a slightly smaller contract than DJ Jones. I think Sebastian Joseph Day offers a little bit more versatility, but he's not as dominant of a run defender. So all three of the Jones boys, you're right. So far, we are 5 for 5 matching here. We'll probably disagree about right tackle again, too. And did you cheat on the offensive line? Did you put like a left tackle at right tackle or anything like that?
I did not cheat. I went strictly if they're a right tackle. The problem, I mean, we'll get into this when we get there. Most of the teams don't even know who their starting right tackle is going to be.
The right tackle is such trash in the AFC
so
West. It's bad.
It is really, really bad.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, there could be 2 other teams in the AFC West that would like any of the 3 Broncos players that are competing for that right tackle spot right now.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that here in a little bit.
Quick question here from Chase, since we're already through the interior defensive line. You guys get in the questions too. If you have any of your own players here, obviously it'll be a little bit probably more lively when we're getting into the offense because those guys, thanks fantasy football, but more conversation about the offensive players. But would you say that the Broncos have the best nose in the division in DJ Jones? What do you think here?
Well, I don't think he's strictly a nose tackle.
Yeah.
You know, Mike Purcell's probably more of your true nose tackle that's on this roster at this time. DJ Jones, you're going to move him all around. I mean, he can go clear out to the 5 tech if you need him to. You know, he showed some versatility there with the 49ers. And I don't think you really want him straight up on the nose position at the 0 tech. I don't think that's going to be his greatest strength as a player. So I think 1 tech and out is where you're looking for him. And I think it's partly why I've gone back and forth on Mike Purcell because I thought he had one of his worst years last year. I think there's a lot of times he was caught guessing, trying to make the big play instead of just doing his job. And in a Vic Fangio defense, I know that's a cuss word in Broncos country now to say his name, but everybody, the way the defense works is everybody has to do their job perfect. You know, it's just, if you do your job, it's going to be a productive play. But if one guy goes rogue, things fall apart very quickly because other guys have to make up for what you've abandoned. And like I said, Purcell did that a lot last year. So I'm kind of interested to see how they use him this year if he does make the roster. I think he will make it just because he is that true nose tackle that they don't really have.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I think maybe Jonathan Hankins is the best pure nose tackle in the division, but really you're not seeing so much true just, 0-1 techniques in the NFL today. You're seeing a lot of versatility because not many teams are playing a 5-down lineman, including the edges out there, very consistently. So you need some versatility. I think DJ Jones is up there. Sebastian Joseph Day does deserve a shout out as well, though, of course. John Williams coming in here saying, should the Broncos trade for Clelland and Farrell? What do you think here, Carl?
Well, I don't think that they would trade within the division, one. I mean, I guess because they're maybe thinking about cutting him because he's just not that great. Maybe they're going, hey, if the Broncos are willing to be the one team that throws us a draft pick, we'll take that. We'll take anything we can get for a guy that we're going to cut anyway. But I'm not trading for him. I know the Broncos have so much unknown at the edge position, but I think Farrell just adds to that. He's still an unknown. Well, he's really kind of a known. He's a very below average player in the NFL. And I don't think it's just because he's with the Raiders that's happened, because we've seen Max Crosby look good. Other guys have looked good on the edge, and Farrell just has completely fallen apart. So I can't get behind the idea of trading for a guy that's been below average on a below average defense.
I mean, you just saw today, I don't know if you saw this yet, but N'Keal Harry was traded for a 7th round pick to the Chicago Bears. I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about here with Clelland Farrell. And I guess if you're looking for a flyer for that kind of body, more run defense, base package guy, maybe, but I think they'd rather probably just keep the Raiders would probably rather just keep him and give up a 7th. The Broncos only have 5 picks now for next year's draft. So probably not. I would wait if you're really desperate for that edge type, the more of the base package runs, edge setting kind of defender. Wait until the rosters are cut down from 90 to 53 or whatever.
Right.
So that's probably the way to go. We got Dom coming in here saying, good evening, Nick, Carl, and Scott, Denver Broncos for life. Good to see you. And now we're going to roll right into the off-ball linebacker, Scott's favorite words here, or stack line. Broncos, George Payton said in the Behind the Broncos stuff, he called it stack linebacker. So, you know what? Nobody can roll their eyes too hard at that one. Stack linebacker position. But first, let's get into Ash College Football's comment here. Looks like he's got a Oklahoma picture there, I think. But man, Carl, we haven't talked yet. What do you think about the huge news of UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten?
Well, I wonder a little bit if this is going to be short-term gains for college football with long-term bad ramifications. Just you're going to have a lot of teams that are just left behind in this situation. You know, you're either in the top two conferences of the Big Ten or the SEC, or you're not. And I think you're going to have to be fighting to get into those. It's going to be kind of like the soccer leagues, where if you finish last, you're kicked out of the conference kind of thing. Yeah. And the person that finishes first in the lower divisions, Big 12, I don't know what's going to be left at the end of this, but you know, maybe they get bumped up into that group. We'll have to see, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I've really liked how, you know, most of my life, these teams have kind of been in the same places. And now all of a sudden you have, you know, Colorado, Nebraska left the Big 12. And I was like, oh man, this kind of stinks. And now we're seeing it at a higher rate. And like I said, I understand it. It's great power for the players. I think it gets them more opportunities to be seen, you know, for USC, especially being on the West Coast. You don't get a lot of your games seen because they're starting them at like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. Now those guys get a lot more attention. It gets them better recruiting, all that kind of stuff. I do worry again, just what happens to lower teams. Yep. Players just really aren't going to want to go there a whole lot.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I mean, those teams are going to have more money and the NIL stuff. So it's just kind of, it's heading this way, but I'm surprised how quickly it headed this way. I think you talked about relegation. I think there's going to be, the conferences might expand enough where there's relegation within these conferences. So like the Big 10 Tier 1, Big 10 Tier 2, SEC Tier 1, SEC Tier 2. So they still getting the money, but then it's just within those own conferences. So yeah, we'll see. Really interesting. You talked about it. You know, it's kind of like soccer where it's always the same teams winning and competing. It's kind of already like that, Carl. For college football, it's Ohio State and
Alabama,
Clemson and Alabama and Georgia and LSU every other year. So yeah, but who finishes last in the Big Ten West? Wow, not Iowa, Nebraska. Who finishes last in the AFC West? For sure, I think it's going to be the Raiders. I don't understand why people are saying the Raiders have a snowball's chance right now. I think Derek Carr is a good player. Javonta Adams, one of the best 3 wide receivers in football. They probably have the best edge rushing duo in football too. They have some key players at key spots, but I don't think there's an argument to be had. They have the worst offensive line in the division. They have the worst back 7 in the division. They have the worst quarterback in the division. You can't be 3 for 3 in those areas and compete, I think. And also they're going to have the second hardest schedule in the division. So I don't know. Also, we can get into more of the factors here. Like last year, they were like, negative 64 point differential making the playoffs. Their Pythagorean wins had them like ranked as the 24th team in football when they still made the playoffs. That was a team that vastly overplayed their ability last season. And they got a little bit of luck. I mean, sometimes it's like that with a small sample size schedule and everything, but that to me all points to massive regression on top of what the roster looks like.
Yeah. You could probably say the same a little bit about the Bengals. I think they were 17th in DVOA last year. Mm-hmm. Got lucky with Lamar going down. Baker Mayfield went down. Pittsburgh, Big Ben was on the last leg of his career kind of thing. Yeah. So they kind of got into it, a fortunate event. They have a lot of young players, so they have a lot of room to grow and become a lot better team. But yeah, I agree. I think the Raiders definitely look like the worst team in the division, and they're still a good team. Don't get me wrong. I still think every team in the division wins at least 7 games this year. Yeah. They all have that much talent that they've added. But I think for me, the big thing is with Derek Carr. When he's had his best years, they had great offensive lines. Like, he needs that protection. He's one of those kind of quarterbacks that if he just doesn't trust the offensive line to do their job, he's not going to be able to hit those great targets that are out there. And he gets a little bit scared. Ever since he broke his leg, that was the big catalyst that really changed him, took away some of his aggression. And I just I think this year that he's going to struggle a little bit more than people realize. And he's learning a whole new offense too. Josh McDaniels has one of the most complicated offenses in football. So I think people might see them come out really slow, especially, losing first 4 or 5 games of the year.
I don't know. I think it's pretty obviously going to be the Raiders as the team that should be picked as the last. I mean, that's what Vegas is saying, but I think almost a whole 2 wins on the win total between the Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs. But we'll see. Let's keep it going here. Linebackers here. This is not a great linebacker division. Just kind of go through it right now. Some of the names here. Obviously, I just said that the Raiders have the worst back seven, maybe one of the worst back sevens in football. I think they did improve their cornerback room, but if you talk safeties and linebackers as well, not good. Denzel Perryman, Jayon Brown, and Kenny Young, not good. Chargers have Kenneth Murray, Drew Tranquil, who are okay, and the Chiefs have Nick Bolton and Willie Gay. I think, honest to God, with how bad this room is, how bad this room is, the division is at the linebacker spot, the stack linebacker spot specifically. Josie Jewell is actually going to be listed as one of the guys here for me. And I don't think it's just me being biased. I really think that he's solid, and solid is standing out in the room that we're looking at here for linebacker. My other stack linebacker here had an incredible season last year. Probably one of the better run stuffing linebackers in football, Nick Bolton. I think both these guys neither of them are really sideline to sideline coverage guys, but both of them are amazing in the box. You can play lighter boxes because they're that good in that area. So I'm going to go Nick Bolton and Josie Jewell, and I'm going to guess that we're the exact same.
We are. You're right. Nick Bolton, his rookie year, showing a lot better than I thought he would, for especially early on in his career. I thought about Willie Gay a little bit just because of that athleticism he brings to the table, the aggression. I thought he played pretty well as well for being a young guy, and has, plenty of room to grow. But I think Josie Jewell just has proven to be one of the most consistent all-around linebackers in football. He's good against the run. He's decent against the pass. He's smart on the field. He's the captain for the Broncos there on that defense where, I say captain, he's the signal caller on the field.
Yep.
And the Broncos really, really missed him after he went down last season. You could just tell it took him a long time to kind of get things even back out as the season progressed. And so I think he's one of the more underrated players returning this season for the Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about the rivals here. Jay Kozad chiming in. Good to see you, Jay. Says Kansas City is the only rival to him. I would say that the Raiders are definitely a rival as well. They annoy the hell out of me. Their fan base does. I don't really cheer against the Chargers. But we had somebody saying, here we go. Ash coming back in saying Chargers fans have been talking a lot with the offseason they've had so far. You mean Charger fan? I mean, it's just such a small.
Can you find one?
Fan. They're out there, and I feel like they have small dog syndrome. They're a good team. They have a right to put out their chest a little bit, I think, this season, but still not a very prolific fan base there. So maybe this small dog bark loud going on there, but we'll see. Let's keep it going here. We have the secondary coming in now. Let's list both the way we're doing the secondary is 5 players. One hybrid player I put in nickel back specifically, and then you have 2 boundary corners and 2 safeties. So let's get those 2 boundary corners on the way first for the All-AFC West team.
Well, Patrick Surtain, he definitely makes the list. I mean, the ESPN just put out there talking to GMs, front office people, who are your top players, and Patrick Surtain, I think, came in 7th on that list after 1 season. I mean, this guy, he has proven that he's going to be something special if he stays healthy. I love him for the Broncos, and it's just nice to have another possibly historic cornerback being added to the Broncos. And on the other side, J.C. Jackson. I do question a little bit leaving that Patriot system, which has shown to do really well to set up corners to have great seasons. And sometimes when they've left that environment, they haven't thrived quite as much. But I still think J.C. Jackson is a great cornerback, and I think he's going to do well there for the Chargers, especially they have those pass rushers that can get after the quarterback. They've got plenty of other players that can make his life pretty easy. And so those 2 as the boundary cornerbacks. I think it would be tough to find other divisions that have a 1-2 punch at cornerback like that.
Ah, man, that's a totally different question. I'd have to go through in my head to think about that one. Maybe the NFC North with Marlon Humphrey and Denzel Ward would be pretty high up there. Let me see, the AFC East, you have Tre'Davious White and Xavier Howard. Those are 2 really good guys as well. But Definitely tough. I have the same two. J.C. Jackson and Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain, an emerging superstar, no doubt about it. And he is, I think, going to be one of the better cornerbacks in football here pretty soon. Entering his age 2022 season, so he's still just a baby. God, so young. And this year he actually should have. Well, the Broncos secondary last year was pretty good overall. The pass rush and the inability to play with the lead definitely was detrimental to Patrick Surtain's ability, especially to make plays on the football. Should see that much more this season. So I'm really excited to see what he can do, especially with pass rush in front of him. Pass rush is a coverage player's best friend. So have a chance to play the ball more rather than just his guy. So it will be fun to see. And JC Jackson, you made an interesting point. I want to get a little bit more in the specifics of what the Patriots do or have been doing. That is the reason why these cornerbacks tend to fall off. What Bill Belichick likes to do, and they've played a lot more 5-0-5 ace kind of front recently out there in New England. But with his cornerbacks, he's like to have his number one cornerback play one-on-one coverage against the team's number 2 wide receiver, and then work in a double team on the team's number 1 wide receiver. So you don't often see the Patriots' number 1 cornerback going up against number 1s in the league. And that's fine. I think it works. I mean, 2 guys better than 1. You can have help. It's obviously it works pretty well for the Patriots out there, but it'll be a different scheme out there with the cover 6 going on their match quarters that Brandon Staley wants to run. So will be interesting. We're in agreement so far, every single spot. A little annoying, Carl. Gosh dang it! Are you behind me? What's going on? You were with me when I made the list, I think. But we got Lawrence Rivera coming in saying, "How are the Broncos going to keep Russ healthy when he has to face Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa?" I mean, he's had to go against Aaron Donald and Nick Bosa and DeForest Buckner and Chandler Jones and all these guys for a while and stayed relatively healthy. So I think your best bet is hopefully he understands that he's got to protect himself and get rid of the football. And sometimes it's better to lose a down to win the long-term war.
The Manning self-sack.
Yep.
I know it annoyed so many people to watch it, but hey, I'd rather that guy be healthy than take a big hit. Yep. You know, you lose 5 yards. Who cares? He throws it away. Who cares? He's going to make up for it on another play. So, yeah, I guess you could say the same thing about every other AFC West quarterback. How are they going to deal with these guys? How are they going to deal with what the Broncos are bringing to the table? Is Draymond Jones, Chris Jones out there as well? All the guys that we've listed there on that front, the front 4, front 5, whatever you want to call them. You know, all of the teams are going to have that struggle. And I think, honestly, the Broncos probably, if we're looking at the 1-2 punch at tackle, probably have the best tackle duo combined. Now, I wouldn't say that they have the best left tackle. I'm giving away what I'm going to say at left tackle here, but right tackle, you know, like I said, I think they just have a little bit more talent overall combined. So they can do a few more things if guys stay healthy. But at the same time, every team's gonna have to prepare for these guys and figure out ways to slow them down.
Yep, absolutely. And we had Joe Kramer come in a few times here. Joe over on our Facebook page, as Scott said, we get a lot more conversation at the Mile High Huddle page if you want to join us there. And Ash come in and also saying Seattle's offensive line has been terrible as well. They have, but also Russell Wilson's getting a little bit older and this hits add up. So do want to think about ways that we can keep him healthy. Jay come in and saying, I think they have to be the Chiefs once this season. Hopefully so. Carl, you're going to end up going to that Broncos KC game. You're not too far. I know it's going to pretty penny probably getting out there to that game, but you heading out there?
I haven't decided. Yeah, I haven't decided yet. Got to talk to the wife and figure out. It might be an early Christmas present for me this year, kind of thing. The kids keep talking. They're like, "Oh, you got to take us to a game now." So now I got to figure out how I'm going to get the kids to all the game and make that all work. So that might be the game. I've got some family and friends that live out that way that we could stay with, so we don't have to have the hotel costs and all that. But yeah, any of you guys that are going to be out at one of these games, I'm hoping maybe I can make a game in Denver as well this year. I'm kind of in between the two places. I'm a little closer to Denver than I am Kansas City, but it's kind of right there. I could go either way, and it's no big deal. And so, yeah, hopefully we can meet up sometime.
Go either way, no big deal, and we'll meet up sometime. This is good. They were getting raunchy in here, baby. Woo! Oops. No, let's keep it going here. We are now talking nickel cornerback. Maybe we'll finally get off here. Who do you have as the? Let's do both safeties first. We'll come back around. I think we'll probably have the same safeties here because there's not a lot of obvious options out of these two, and you could argue that these are the best two safeties in football going on right now. We have obviously Justin Simmons deserving of a shout out, but also Derwin James. When Derwin James healthy, sorry guys, I'd probably take him over Justin Simmons, but health is a big factor, and Derwin James has had a lot of injuries. So I think right now you could make it an argument that Justin Simmons is the best safety in football, and you're more likely to get 17 games from him than you are Derwin James.
I want to disagree with you, but I can't. I mean, like I said, this is probably the two easiest choices when you're looking at that 1-2 punch for a position. Like I said, both of them have that argument when healthy, they could have that argument to be the best safety in football. I think Justin Simmons, that same ESPN thing that they have going on, Justin Simmons was voted the number one safety in football. And like I said, he's been consistent not only on his play on the field, but he's been healthy pretty much every single season. And it's been great to have him as a Denver Bronco. Now, I am interested to see what the Broncos do moving forward since they've drafted so many young safeties. What's going to happen with Justin Simmons? I mean, I think we know Jackson's probably gone after this year. And I'm not trying to say Justin Simmons is gone here in a year or anything like that. I'm just, when you start looking at contracts and things like that, his is going to be pretty big here coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be really interesting to see what happens and how he does there. But it's a big year for Justin Simmons. We'll see what happens to the Broncos safeties as well. We got coming in here. Ooh, where is it at? There we go. Michael saying, please, Nick, guy hasn't even played. Derwin James has played. He's played 2,429 snaps in his career so far. So missed a lot of 2019, missed 2020 as well, but 961 snaps last year, and he was incredible his rookie season. He's a good player. It's is what it is. But the Chargers, if they are overhyped, we didn't list our quarterback yet. I'm not going to go that crazy with that. But first, the fifth defensive back coming in here. I'm going to go with you first because I think maybe this is one that we'll disagree on, but I know better than that. We're probably going to say the same person.
I went with Bryce Callahan.
Okay, we're different. That's great.
Okay. He's another one that has struggled to stay healthy. But when he has been healthy, he has been a very good player on the field. I mean, with the Broncos, outside, inside, he was, for a couple of years there, the best cornerback the Broncos had, which is saying something. They've had some really good cornerbacks through here. Like I said, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Every single season he's missed games. I don't think he's had a single season where he was healthy the entire year.
Yeah.
Who do you have?
L'Jarius Sneed over in Kansas City. Different type of body for that cornerback position, 6'1", 193, but he has been really good at that slot position. He's kind of more of a safety cornerback hybrid, but that's kind of where the game is going now with the big slots. There's not many Wes Welker, Brandon Stokely-esque slots going on right now. You have like Hunter Renfrow, and that's about it. I mean, people think of Cooper Kupp. Oh, he's white. He's like that. He's like 6'2", 210. Like, he's a big dude for that slot position. So a lot of these cornerbacks are getting bigger, and Sneed, I think, has been really good. He had a phenomenal rookie season, played over 1,100 snaps last year, a really good run defender as well. So he deserves a shout out. I would be 0% shocked if Kwan Williams has an incredible season this year for the Broncos and maybe gets a shout out here. But I think right now L'Jarius Sneed deserves a shout out. He's one of the more underrated players, I think, in the AFC West.
See, I was going off of our lads depth charts that they have. Yep. They have him listed as an outside cornerback.
He's played mostly in the slot, so maybe
I know he has. You're right. I guess I should have thought of that. They have their new rookie Trent McDuffie playing that nickel.
I could see it. I'm not sure. He played mostly slot, so I put him there. But would you have put Sneed there then if that was the other way around? Maybe?
Probably, because he has been that one. I hated that draft because that was a bad cornerback draft.
Yeah.
And he's been like that one guy that played really well for the cornerback position pretty much year in, year out. And I hate that the Chiefs are the ones that got him late in the draft. But So you're right. He has been a really good player. Probably I would take him over Bryce Callahan just because, like I said, Callahan has not been able to stay healthy. He's getting up there in age. There's a reason that he didn't get a huge contract here in free agency.
Yeah, and just kind of digging into that, 684 slot corner snaps last year for Sneed compared to 259 on the boundary. So way more slot than in the boundary. But we'll get into it here. We got Juan saying, shout out, Nick. Shout out, Juan. Hope you're doing well. I'm guessing this is Ernie Mays coming in here saying, hello, Nick and Carl. Go Broncos. Good to see you, Ernie. Sorry, we're talking about the division today, not just the Broncos, but plenty more Broncos to talk about on here as well. Jay Kozad coming in saying, Herbert seems to be the real deal, but I still need to see more. I feel that way about Herbert and Joe Burrow, but both of them look incredible. I think if there is a redraft of the whole league right now, they'd be two of the top 4 picks taken, along with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, which is unfortunate because that's 4 AFC quarterbacks, but la-di-da. DeAndre Weatherspoon coming in here with the support. Thank you so much, DeAndre. It's been a second. Hope your summer is going well, and we appreciate you. So, Carl, Our defensive team is done. We had one disagreement here in the last one. Thank God. Just for you, not because, I want to be totally different than you. You're cool, Carl. I can mimic you some, but don't want to be exactly the same. So that's good. Let's get in now to the offense. Let's just go right into it. The quarterback. I think it's probably a pretty easy one to get into. Unfortunately, amazing quarterback division. 4 quarterbacks in the top 12. I think not very much of an argument there, but I think Scott and I talked about the ranking of the quarterbacks that just came out from ESPN, where they asked the executives, coaches, pro personnel, scouts, and players to rank them. And this guy came in number 2. I think he's an argument to be 1A or 1B. Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the division. Maybe he's a little bit overhyped, but I think he's absolutely incredible. Been on I don't think any quarterback has ever put up the statistics the first 4 years in the league, or first 4 years playing, as Patrick Mahomes had. It's unfortunate, but he's really, really good.
Yeah, I don't want to put him there and I think it's more because his wife and brother kind of annoy me. It's bad that they're the ones that cause things like that. But it's also because he just annoys me with some of his play. Because it's like, he shouldn't be able to get away with this stuff, but he does. He does things that just most quarterbacks, they'd be going to the sideline, coach would be yelling at him. Andrew Reid's going, keep doing it, bud. It's working. And he's good. Really, really good. And like I said, he's on a historic pace right now. Probably needs another couple Super Bowls to really get into the talk of top 5 quarterbacks of all time. So
he's ways away from that.
Yeah, he's a long ways. But I mean, the way he started his career.
Yeah.
I think most quarterbacks ever would take what he's done here to start off with. And so I am interested to see his number 1 wide receiver finally gone. How's that going to work out? And maybe it works out almost a little bit better where he's not so much targeting Hill every single play. I think it was kind of interesting hearing Hill talk about it because he's like, there's all these times I'm open and he's not looking at me. But every wide receiver says that they're always open. Just throw it to me. With Travis Kelsey now being a little bit older, there's got to be a time where he starts going that downhill trend. Is that this year? Is that another couple more years down the road? We'll have to wait and see.
And we got Ernie coming in here saying number 1, Broncos Wilson, 2, 3, 4, Broncos Wilson. So, yep.
There we go.
And Jay Kozad coming in and say, I can't stand Mahomes, but he is great. Carl, I guess here's a question for you. God, I don't even want to ask it, but I'm going to have to now. Let's say Mahomes has a down season. Who's the other quarterback in the division that is most likely to end up in that spot for the best quarterback in the AFC West?
Justin Herbert.
Screw it. I'm just going to go with Russell Wilson. We're going on vibes, baby. I think Herbert's incredible, but he doesn't have the complete weaponry that Russell Wilson has. And I think Russell Wilson has he's playing for a little bit more this season than Herbert. Herbert's already kind of arrived. He's being dubbed. I think people are sleeping on Wilson a bit. So I'm going to go Wilson here, but I don't think you're wrong also at the same time for saying Justin Herbert being the other guy here. He's incredible. It's unfortunate. Did you see that quarterback list I was talking about earlier? What do you think about 5, 6, 7, 8 being Burrow at 5, 6 being Stafford, 7 being Herbert, and 8 being Russell Wilson?
I have a little bit of problem with, I guess, Stafford because he's kind of been up and down throughout his career. I really love Stafford. I think he is a top 10 quarterback, but maybe having him quite that high, I think that's a little bit of that Super Bowl. They go out there and win it. I think he's getting a little bit more hype with that. Like I said, I do really like him. Joe Burrow, again, he's kind of up and down with his play a little bit, maybe a little bit too early to be dubbing him as a top 5 quarterback in football. Not saying that he can't get there because he is great. And I think he's the best is ahead for him in the NFL. I think people really underrated. I know he was the number 1 overall pick, but I think people are kind of going, it's a little bit of a down draft. Burrow's not got the strongest arm. He's not the greatest athlete, all those kind of things. But man, that guy just makes plays.
Yeah.
When that team needs something, he just shows up, and he's done that throughout his college career, now in the NFL. So I don't have too much of a problem. Like I said, that top 10 list, most of them I'd agree with, and you can kind of change up that order quite a bit. And the only player that I'd maybe say they were a little bit too low on, Lamar Jackson. I thought he probably should at least been in the top 10. We're only a couple years away from when he won the MVP.
Yeah.
Was one of the most outstanding quarterbacks, just that electrifying ability, both the run and the pass. I think his injury last year, slowed him down. And you got to wonder a little bit, how much does that take away some of his athleticism moving forward? But I still would put him in my top 10.
Yeah. Don't disagree. Okay, back at it now. Back-to-back running backs here for the list here. Who says running backs don't matter? We're going to list 2 of them. And honestly, I added 2 here because I think that I want to list both Broncos players here, Javonta Williams and Melvin Gordon. I think the Broncos have the best 2 running backs in the division. I do think there is a discussion around Josh Jacobs, but he wasn't that good last year. I thought he was kind of a down year. I'd rather have what Melvin Gordon did last season than what Josh Jacobs did on a better team. So give me Melvin Gordon and Javonta Williams. I think the Broncos had the best 2 running backs in the entire division.
I went with Austin Eckler.
Okay.
As one of my guys. I know he didn't have the best year last year, but he also didn't have a great offensive line in front of him. He still put up, I think it was over 900 yards rushing. I think he put over 600 yards receiving. So I think that all-around running back ability, and pairing him, some of this was me thinking of, okay, if I'm building the perfect team, Javonte Williams, that hammer that just, let's go up the middle, let's go pick up those tough yards, let's have this guy break tackles. And then Austin Eckler, that third down guy, that specialist that can really make teams have to game plan for him. That was kind of my thought there. And Melvin Gordon, he's a great third down running back too. So I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I just feel like I'd rather pair those 2 together if I had the choice.
I'll take what the Broncos have. Just give me those to hit sledgehammers, man. They're both good. They're both different, but they both are ass kickers in my opinion. So did you say Javonta Williams is the other one too?
Yep.
Okay. So leaving Melvin Gordon out. The disrespect. No,
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's coming after me now.
Yeah, I mean, it's it happens. But okay, so now we're on to the wide receivers here. You have, I guess, let's see, so 3 wide receivers. Please let me know who you have here. You can just list all 3 here.
Okay. So first one, Davante Adams. You said it earlier. Easy. Top 3 wide receiver in football. Probably has an argument for number 1, really. Yeah. I know Cooper Kupp did his thing this last year, but Davante Adams, man, that guy is special. Love him. Keenan Allen getting up there a little bit in age, having some injury problems here last couple of years, kind of hit and miss, but still, I mean, one of the best route runners in football, and just been year in, year out, a great player in the NFL. Hard to leave him off my list. And then I decided to go a little bit of just, I guess, projection here again. Courtland Sutton. I love that guy. I think he has one of the best all-around games at the wide receiver position. His ability to win with some quickness. I mean, the guy can make cuts like crazy. He's really improved his game since his rookie season. And I still think here a couple years ago, when he put up that 1,200 yards receiving with probably the worst quarterback situation in football that year. You know, he had Joe Flacco, Drew Lock,
Brendan Allen.
And he still put up those kind of yards. You know, it's kind of like McLaurin with Washington. You know, he hasn't had a great quarterback situation, but he still puts up big stats. And so that's why I still think Courtland Sutton's going to be a great fit. And I think he's such a perfect fit with Russell Wilson. His ability to go win those deep balls, those 50-50 balls, come down with them. And I think those 2 are going to be best friends by the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil McLaughlin coming to the big stars here. I think he's asking about the order of the division. 1 through 3, you can list them 1A, 1B. I guess I'm going to put the Chiefs at the top until we see. Honestly, I think they are a worse team, but they have the best quarterback and the best coach in the division. That goes a long way. So Chiefs number 1. After that, I think it's a 2A, 2B situation. The Broncos or the Chargers, whichever one can stay healthiest. Who's it going to be? I don't freaking know, but whatever one can stay healthiest. And then 4th being the Raiders. So thank you so much for the support, Phil. We appreciate you double dipping today, man. That's awesome. T coming in here saying, Nick, was you taking the Iowa Hawkeyes this year? I guess I poop on the Raiders so much about this. I should just be real with the Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes last year were a team that didn't make any sense for their win total. They have negative point differential. They squeaked out a bunch of wins, terrible offense. I expect them to be better this season, but I also think their win-loss total will probably regress because last year they played way over their head in their win-loss total. So we'll see. They had a bunch of special teams fluky. I mean, good shout out to LeVar Woods, good special teams coach, but probably better than anything Denver's had in a long time. But I expect them to regress some in the win-loss column, but still be a good team. And they're starting to recruit a lot better too. So I think Iowa's on the up and up. Will be interesting to see here. We got Benjamin Flores in the house. Good to see you, Ben, saying good evening, fellas, from Huntington Beach with the family summer vacation 2020. Well, don't hang out with us too long. We appreciate you stopping by, but make those memories, man. He says, keep up the great work. My favorite duo. Oh, that's super nice, Ben. Actually, don't go away. I need you to hype up our ego a little more. Go Broncos. Go Ben. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bud. That's great. And Huntington Beach, man, that is a beautiful place. Glad you and the family are getting away for a little bit and getting that time to recharge.
Yeah, absolutely. So my wide receivers here, I'm gonna agree with you on Cortland Sutton and Devonta Adams. I'm gonna go with the other Chargers wide receiver, somebody I was not that high on coming into the draft. Was high on him before the year before he came out. Then I thought he kind of had somewhat of a down year, but I think he's really emerging as a good player, and the money says so as well. Mike Williams, very good player. I think that you talk about trying to fit the scheme around these guys. I think Devonta Adams played as much slot last year as he did boundary. So if I want to go 3 wide, I'm going to play Adams in the slot pretty easily and feel good about it. I think Sutton actually is going to have a lot of chance to play a slot this year in Denver as well. So I'm going to go with a big X guy like Mike Williams, who's also a butt kicker, a red zone weapon, and a blocker. So Mike Williams, I think he's an emerging stud, and the Chargers were smart to keep him around and pay him.
I hate to admit that he has played much better than I thought he would, because I'm with you. I did not like him coming out of college. I don't like guys that can't get separation. And I thought that was one of his biggest struggles coming out of college, but his ability to win those 50-50 balls has just completely made up for it. I mean, that guy, some of the strongest hands in football.
Yeah, he's good. He's not, I don't think he's better than T. Higgins out there in both Clemson guys, I think, right? Was Mike Williams Clemson? Am I mistaken? Yeah, okay. I don't think quite as good as T. Higgins, but a really good player. So let's keep it going here. We don't have to waste too much time on this one, I think. Tight end, Travis Kelsey, right? Travis Kelsey, the best one. I mean, Darren Waller down season last year, but still a really good player, much younger. But Travis Kelsey is probably the second best tight end in football, behind George Kittle, of course, Iowa Hawkeye legend. Can't be outdone. But the Travis Kelsey is incredible. Luckily for Broncos country, he's definitely on the downward part of his career. Still probably going to be good for a bit, just with how he plays, how crafty he is at finding space. But on the other end,
yeah, I thought about Darren Waller for a second. Like you said, he's a little bit younger, a little bit more athletic, and I think the Raiders are going to really want to highlight him in that offense for sure. And people are going to be trying to stop Devonta Adams like crazy. So between those two, who are you going to try to stop? But at the same time, Travis Kelsey every year just shows up, puts up 1,000 yards. Decent blocker. I think he's a little bit more underrated than people give him credit for when he as a blocker there. Not great. He's not your Iowa Hawkeyes kind of guy, but he's still good. And so I think maybe we're still a year out before we really start seeing him decline as a tight end and maybe get back down under 1,000 yards as a receiver.
Yeah. Nope. I totally agree with you on that one. Will be interesting to see how much longer he can be great. I'm getting tired of him, but good player and good for the game, I guess, he said begrudgingly. We're going to get on out of here pretty soon, but first, the offensive line. Carl, I'm going to pull up my notes on this one because I honestly do not remember who I put here after doing my research on that. So I'm going to give it to you first. We'll go left tackle, right tackle, et cetera, et cetera. Left tackle, left guard, excuse me. So we're reading the line from left to right.
Yeah, left tackle was tough. Mm-hmm. Like there's actually 4 quality left tackles in the AFC West. Yep. And I guess I went with the young guy that I think showed just as well as the other 2 that I have on my list for sure. And so I think he's got more upside in Rashawn Slater. I thought he had outstanding rookie season, one of the better left tackle seasons we've seen for a rookie. And I think he's going to be a great pairing with Herbert out there. I think those 2 are going to have a great relationship. And so I had to go with him. I think he's got a great all-around game. I think he's a pretty good in the run blocking, great in the pass blocking. And like I said, I really went back and forth. All 4 of them I'd be happy with.
Yeah, I totally agree with you here. I had a hard time debating this one. I think Orlando Brown Jr. probably pretty squarely last, in my opinion. After that, if you want to take any of them, it's who's who. I would not be upset if you took Garrett Bowles, Rashawn Slater. I'm going to go Colton Miller. Very impressed with him. I think he's been a really good, underrated player. He kind of is the only guy on that Raiders offensive line that is pulling the rope in the right direction, it seems. But he's a really good player. Could see Garrett Bowles there this season as well, but did want to give a shout out to Colton Miller specifically because I think he's a really good player coming out of UCLA and has taken big steps forward each year he's been in the league. Really good player. Rashawn Slater, though, I mean, also incredible player, though. So now we're on to left guard here for the Broncos, for our All-AFC West team. This one's probably pretty easy for us. Joe Thuney, one of the best guards in football for the Chiefs. I guess I'll just go quickly here. Chiefs have a clean sweep here for left guard, center, and right guard for me, unfortunately. I have the likes of obviously 2 rookies there at center and right guard from last season, but they were incredible. Creed Humphrey at center, and then Trey Smith last year. My God, was a really highly rated recruit, but they found blood clots in his lungs that had him drop from potential first round pick, second round pick, all the way to the 6th round, I believe was 6th round. And he was awesome last year. Unfortunately, awesome. So the Chiefs have a clean sweep for me on the interior offensive line.
I did not have their center make it.
You didn't have Creed Humphrey?
I did not.
Woo. All right.
Just, it's hard for me. I want to see him do it a couple years. Like I said, he was outstanding last year. I almost put him, but Corey Linsley, I've really liked that guy when he played with Green Bay, now coming down here to the Chargers. I think he's been really one of those players that just kind of made that offense work. Like Herbert was showing real promise, but then getting that guy to pair with him to give him that great mind to get those guys all on the same page. I have a soft spot for Corey Linsley. I really wanted him with the Broncos. That was one of those guys on my list for free agency that I was like, oh, just bring this guy in, because I did not want a rookie in Cushenberry being the Broncos center. And I thought the Broncos really needed somebody to be that voice for the offensive line. And Glasgow's kind of that guy a little bit, but now even he might not even be a starter for the Broncos this year. So, like I said, I had to put him in there. I gave him the veteran bump over Creed Humphrey.
Okay. All right. And right guard.
Yeah, same thing. Trey Smith.
Trey Smith as well.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to put Quinn Miners in there because he had I'd say the bigger, better highlight plays of the two. Trey Smith still had some great highlight plays too, so don't get me wrong. I mean, they're both powerful people that can move people. But yeah, Trey Smith, a little more consistent with everything into his game than Quinn Miners. He's got more to prove at this point than Trey Smith.
Yeah. Okay. And this is a tough one here. We kind of talked about it to start the show, but right tackle, God, just close your eyes and pick a team because it's not very good. I honestly listed Billy Turner here because I think he's competent if he's healthy, but don't feel good about any of the options. It's really kind of funny how opposite the left tackle is to the right tackle in the AFC West.
You're right. I mean, right now on our lads, it has Billy Turner, Andrew Wiley, Alex Leatherwood, and Trey Pipkins listed as the starting right tackles in the AFC West.
It's so bad. that's so bad.
And
sorry, that's terrible.
It wouldn't surprise me if none of them were starting when the season actually kicked off week 1, because none of them have earned that job yet. Alex Leatherwood, maybe just because he has that first round draft pedigree, and teams are kind of like, we got to force it. I know he was so bad. He might be the worst of those 4. But right now, I'm with you. I went with Billy Turner. The guy's been in the league for a long time. He's had some decent moments during his time in the NFL. I'd say he's been better on the interior than the exterior, but I'll give the little bit of shout out to him. I think he'll be okay for the Broncos this year.
Absolutely. Well, we have our team here. I'm going to be pulling it up here in a second, just so that way you guys can see it before we get on out. Boop, boop, boop. Of course. Boop. So everybody play your elevator music for 1 second in your head. And we're pulling it up. There we go. All right. Can you guys see that? Did it do it? There we go. Boom. So there's our teams, guys. You can screenshot that. Maybe we'll put it up there later. But our top team, AFC West, we'll see how it plays out. Always fun to kind of go through this and look at these teams. Carl, let's count them up before we get on out of here because it is 7 o'clock Mountain Time. How many Broncos did each of us have? I think we had the same number in the end. You count yours, I'll count mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, you can't see everybody, of course. 9. We have a
I had 9.
Billy Turner as well.
Yep.
9 and 9.
Yep.
That's 1/3. So that's good news for the Broncos because that's better than 1/4 and probably 1/5 last year. So awesome to see. We thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're gonna get on out of here. Let's stop the screen share before we do that. Carl, what's the rest of your night looking like?
I got a run ahead of me. Got about 5 miles of running. I'm trying to get up to a 10K, which is like 6.2 miles, I think is what it is. So that's my goal. I'm doing the couch to 10K, and I'm right at that point of 5 miles a night. So hopefully, I'm hoping it's cooled off a little bit since earlier. It was like 90. I think today only got up to like 92. So I'm hoping it's maybe like mid 80s at this point.
I hate
What
that.
about you, man?
Gross. Unpacking, just kind of organizing the house, doing some laundry stuff. Not very fun, but stuff that needs to get done. And we got Hein coming in saying, great show, gents. Hope you're doing well. It's been a second. Dylan Von Ark saying, great conversation as always, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. A little bit goes a long way. Dale Fleming saying, great show, Nick, Carl, and Scott, and Dylan. As always, fantastic discussions, Broncos country. We appreciate you. And Jeremy saying, go get it, Carl. We enjoy it. Chase Wonderful saying, solid. Appreciate you guys putting team bias aside analysis. It's not easy. We do our best to do that. I hate no offense to people out there who do this, really lean into it, but like the pure fanalist kind of stuff, can't stand it. Tell me how it is. I want some real hard-hitting stuff. I'd rather hear somebody who's not connected to the team talk about them than somebody who is connected, because I just threw that veil of the fan goggles. Not about it. Not for me. So maybe sometimes I overcorrect a little bit in that regard. But also, one last question, Carl. How was your backpacking trip?
It was good. Other than our tent ripped, our brand new tent, first time out of the bag, went to hammer in one of the stakes, and the seam at the bottom ripped. And I was like, oh, that stinks. Hopefully it doesn't rain tonight. Then it downpoured.
Oh my God.
And so we had a stream running through our tent. And so all the family got on one side of me, and I was the blocker. So my tent or my sleeping bag was completely soaked from the bottom to the top. And I actually didn't get that cold, but definitely did not get much sleep. Otherwise, kids loved it. They all said, we got to go do this again. And we're like, let's give us a few seconds to relax after this one.
Man, I hopefully have warranty on that tent.
We do.
Brandon, good. Oof. All right, got to go to REI. But we appreciate you guys. We're going to get on out of here. Make sure you're following Carl and I on Twitter. Carl is at Carl Dumler MHH. I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also follow us at BTB Football Pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you're checking out the merch store at huddleuppod.com. Get your gear on. I got the hats up here. Got the hats up at the top too, rotating them in and out. And make sure you're following us at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. And of course, subscribe, like, and share. Hit that bell notification on YouTube so that way you guys know when we go live, and don't miss any shows. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I'll see you guys again tomorrow morning on Scott's show, Forging the Falcons. We'll be talking some Falcons there. And also tomorrow night, Mile High Insiders with Luke Patterson. So make sure you tune in. Until then, you guys choose kindness and choose compassion. Go Broncos.